how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Bianca, my first question is about Bayley. What happened with Bayley?
I'm still trying to figure out what happened with Bayley. Even when I was on Raw, we had the Battle Royal on SmackDown. Bayley was coming at me on Twitter. Even when I got drafted to SmackDown, Bayley has been constantly just tweeting me and trolling me on Twitter. And it started with Twitter. And ever since then, she just always has something to say. I think, Bayley, she calls herself the role model. I think she's in her teenage phase right now of just trying to figure out where she fits in. I think she lost her best friend, Sasha. She's just trying to fit in with everyone. And I don't know. I think maybe Bayley, has an issue with me, maybe because I'm the new kid on the block, and maybe she's threatened. I'm really not sure. I'm still trying to figure out what's going on with Bayley, what her problem is. But at this point, I just feel like she's just been so aggravating that I'm just ready to fight her at this point.
Match in TLC?
Yes. So I'm hoping that it leads to that. We're going to see what happens in these upcoming weeks, but I'm already, I had my match with Natty on SmackDown last week, and then Bayley still tried to get involved, and it didn't work. So I'm hoping that she kind of learned her lesson, but I'm upset because, like I said, I'm the new kid on the block, and I'm on SmackDown. I'm just trying to prove and show everyone that I'm the EST of WWE. Bayley, she has so many accomplishments. She had this long title reign. I don't understand, what's the problem? I'm just trying to get my foot in the door, and I'm trying to show everyone who I am. And here she comes, and she's trying to stop that. Phone just rang, but we'll see where this goes. And I'm hoping that we can meet each other in TLC, and then I have to whoop Bayley at TLC.
Bianca, how was the experience of moving from NXT to the main roster?
I will say that it wasn't as hard of a transition as I thought it would be. And I think that's because NXT, once it went to the USA Network and it went live and it was considered a third brand right alongside Raw and SmackDown, that it really modeled Raw and SmackDown a lot. And before that, it was really used to prepare you to get to Raw and SmackDown. And so I feel like I was very prepared once I transitioned over. Also, my husband, who is one half of the Street Profits, he was on Raw before I got there. And so he was able to really help me transition over. He was really there to help me guide me and really just help prepare me. And I always have him for if I have questions or if I'm trying to figure things out, I can bounce ideas off of him. That's what's so great about being married to someone in the business, that you can vent to, or you can get opinions from. But it's been a great transition. It's been smooth so far, and now I'm on SmackDown. They say SmackDown is the land of opportunities, and I'm in a brand new locker room with new girls. And I think that we're off to a great start, and I was able to gel with them during Survivor Series. And now I'm just very excited to be in this new locker room with new women that I can get in the ring with and create magic with them, and have big moments with them, and hopefully have a moment at TLC with Bayley. And it's been good so far. I have zero complaints.
Bianca, 2020 is a very special year for you. Royal Rumble, main roster. What are your feelings about this special year?
This year, even though it's been a crazy and strange year, I've actually had a very good year. People bring up a lot, oh, you went to Raw and you kind of didn't do anything. But when you look back at 2020, I've had a great year. Like you said, I had Royal Rumble where I lasted over 30 minutes. And, I had Takeover Portland with Rhea. I debuted at WrestleMania. I debuted at Raw alongside the Street Profits. I was never pinned on Raw. I got drafted to SmackDown. I was the very first qualifier for Team SmackDown for Survivor Series. I was a part of Survivor Series. I was almost a sole survivor, and I've never been pinned on SmackDown. I've had a very, very great year. despite everything. And I think that says a lot, that speaks a lot. I was just on Talking Smack, and I had Paul Heyman saying all these great things about me, and hearing him say that despite everything that's happening in 2020, I think that really speaks volumes of why I call myself the EST of WWE. And I'm just even more excited for 2021.
About the Royal Rumble, are you one of the biggest favorites for win the next year edition of Royal Rumble?
I am definitely looking to win 2021 Royal Rumble. Last year, the Royal Rumble for 2020, I didn't find out I was going to be a part of Royal Rumble until the night of. And I was able to have last for 30 minutes. So now that I'm fully expecting to be in the Royal Rumble next year, I can prepare for it, and I can mentally put my mind around it. I am super excited about it, and I'm looking to go in there and win the Royal Rumble, and that can be my path to WrestleMania.
About that, what are your future plans in WWE Championship match?
My future plans?
Yes.
Well, definitely, first I want to have a match with Bayley so I can figure her out and get her settled, get her out of my way. And then I definitely want to have a match against Sasha Banks because she is the SmackDown Women's Champion. She is the boss. She's the standard, and she's the standard of, what our women's, she represents our women's division in SmackDown. And that would be so sweet to me to be able to come on to SmackDown and face Sasha Banks and become the SmackDown Women's Champion. And I would also like to face later in the future, I'd like to have a one-on-one match with Nia Jax. I think a lot of people saw a little bit of that in Survivor Series. She's the irresistible force, and I think that I can get in the ring and really show that how athletic and how strong I am against Nia Jax. And I think she'll pull the best out of me. And of course, later down in the future, of course, the match against Charlotte.
Bianca, who inspired you to be a wrestler?
So I didn't really watch wrestling growing up. My brother watched it a lot. So I watched it just a little bit whenever, he would win the fight over the remote. But I ran track and I did gymnastics most of my life in basketball. I did track in college, and I went and started doing CrossFit. And Mark Henry is actually who saw a clip of me and reached out to me, asked me had I ever thought of being a WWE wrestler. And at the time, that's when Total Divas was getting really big. So I think it was really starting, mainstream is really starting to see women's wrestling a whole lot. And so I knew about Total Divas. And Mark Henry was actually the one that put the idea more so in my head about, I really think that you can do this. You're very athletic. You're strong. You have the look. You know how to talk. And I can get you, he told me, I can get you a tryout, but I can't get you hired. All I can do is get you the tryout. So, having a legend like Mark Henry reach out to you and say that I see this in you, that really just put the nail in the coffin for me and was like, okay, this could be for you. And I feel like it was like either too good to be true or was a perfect match, and ended up being a perfect match. And it went from being something that I had never thought of doing to now it's something that I can't imagine myself doing anything other than wrestling now.
Perfect, thank you. Bianca, do you miss the fans?
Do I miss the fans?
Yeah.
Of course. The fans are such a huge part of what we do. Even being out in the ring and having to wrestle without fans, it's just a huge adjustment. But being in the Thunderdome and having the virtual fans, when I walked out and saw the virtual fans, even though they're not there physically, just having them there virtually, being able to see their faces, it does so much for us because what we do is for the fans. And even to, just having their faces there virtually, it just adds so much to it. It makes it so much easier for what we do. And I can't wait for the time when we do get fans back. I think it's going to be a special moment. It's going to be crazy. I think that's the moment that everybody's looking forward to.
Bianca, with this COVID pandemic, what do you think will happen to the host shows in the future?
I'm not really sure. I think that that's something that's definitely out of our hands. I think that the first step is to try to get fans back in, and and we'll have to kind of go from there and take it step by step. But I'm really not sure what's going to happen with the house shows. I think the first step is just trying to get fans back in and go from there and take it, like I said, take it step by step.
Bianca, would you like to fight in Chile? And what do you know about the Chilean fans?
I would love to fight in Chile. I love to travel. The first time I've ever been out of the country was actually in WWE. So I love to travel now. I love to meet new fans. I would love to meet all the fans in Chile. I love to travel and go to new places and meet all the new fans. So hopefully in the future that can definitely happen. I get a lot of DMs a lot from like, hey, fans from Chile. So I definitely see you guys.
Bianca, finally, your feeling after Pat Patterson's death. What important was he to you?
Yeah, so Pat Patterson, you will always see him backstage. He was always at the big moments. You know, whenever he was backstage, I would always go up and shake his hand and talk to him. He was such a nice guy. And, you know, the thing about him, he wasn't just at the big moments. I would see him a lot of times in NXT at some of the tryouts. He was always there. So, you know, it's such sad news, but he's left his footprint in WWE, and not just in WWE, but in the world, and he'll never be forgotten.
Perfect. Bianca, thank you so much.